welcome to the Joe Hoft Show. This is Joe Hoft. They're going after people like you and me for sharing the truth. They're all phonies, they're liars, they're fakes. How much evidence did they gain on Dominion? How much did they gain that they're not telling us about? And there you have it. Great intro, guys. Thanks for putting that together. Anyways, great to be with you again. This is Joe Hoft. Here we are in the Joe Hoft Show. And thrilled to be with you today. Lots going on as every day. I think I say that every day. Lots going on. Great stuff. Overall, we got to say, praise you, Lord Jesus. Thank you so much. Right now, yeah, there's evil in this earth. There's evil all around, but we are winning. We are winning, and we are going to win this battle between good and evil because it's just we got God on our side. Don't ever forget that. God and the truth and God are the same. As I mentioned, my brother Jim mentioned that from the movie The Passion of Christ, how he says something about how the truth is anytime you share the truth, you're speaking, my words. And that's what we hope to do here every day. Our goal is to share the truth and get it to you as quickly as possible, help you to discern all that's going on because there's so much coming after us right now, just coming at us. It's like a fire hose, just spraying this incredible information at us. And my job, I feel like, is to go straight to the point, the things that you need to hear, that you want to hear, and keep you posted, keep you up to date. So I hope I'm doing that. If you ever have any suggestions, let me know. You can write me at joehoff.com. And these shows are shared there. They're shared on Rumble. They're shared elsewhere at Untamed Nation. So please feel free to follow the show, support all our supporters, and we really appreciate that. And also, if you can, go out and if you haven't already, purchase my books on the steel, uh, volumes 1, 2, and 3. Happy for you to do so. I think they're the best series on the 2020 election that have been written, and I'm so proud of them. I've even had Roger Stone tell me that, Joe, these books are going down as classics. So really happy about that. Put the work in and wrote some incredible text there, and I appreciate you, going out, purchasing them, and sharing them with your friends and family. So, lots going on today. I mentioned yesterday. Thank you there for showing that. That's at joehoff.com. You can go there and click on and purchase those books. And appreciate you doing so. I've written 6 books now, those 3 on the steel, as well as 3 others. My first book was when I was in Hong Kong. It's some great ideas in there from overseas, and I've even shared one on Social Security with President Trump with Team Doge, and I think it makes all the sense in the world. So, anyways, hopefully some of that'll be heard. We just want the stuff heard. That's what we want. We want to get the truth out. We want to help you. We want to get our voices heard because together we can't be stopped. When together we're with God, we cannot be stopped. So, anyways, lots of good things happening right now across the country. A lot of work to do too. I put up an article this morning on joehoff.com. Our judiciary could be the total destruction of America. These corrupt judges need to go. They need to be gone. We don't need them ruling over this country anymore. We need common sense. We need honest and people of integrity. They're going to rule according to the law and according to good Christian principles. And that's all we want. That's all we want. And so this lunacy of the left has got to end. And we've got to replace these judges ASAP. And there's got to be ways to do it. There's got to be a way. I've heard Jefferson did it before. He ended up inherited a bunch of judges from John Adams, who brought him in his last quarter or something in office, and Jefferson got rid of him. He just said, "No, your job's been made redundant, just like people have done in business world for years. Your job's redundant. Sorry, we don't need you anymore. Thanks for all your help." And those positions are eliminated and refilled in other ways in other areas so that we can get the right people in the position. So I think that's probably what we're going to have to end up doing. And I hope sooner rather than later it's going to take some real courage, and it's going to be necessary though for sure. Anyways, I brought up a piece yesterday. As many of you know, I'm a twin and an identical twin brother. with my brother Jim. As a matter of fact, I could tell you stories about being a twin and how I've thought stuff, and Jim has at the same time, even though we're 10,000 miles apart. For example, when I was in Hong Kong, he was in the States. Things like that were interesting. So when I see other twins, I'm really interested. Well, these two came up yesterday, and they're apparently in Australia, and they are synchronized. They're beyond being twins. These two are synchronized. Here is a clip. I find it a great way to maybe start off all day. Take a look at this. It'll blow you away.
Witnesses are recounting some of the drama that unfolded on the Sunshine Coast this afternoon. Two sisters have told how their mother and man raced to help when the carjacked SUV rolled on Steve Irwin Way, only to find the gun-wielding car thief emerging from the wreck. Here's some of what they had to say.
And one guy, he was up there with our mum, and he went up there and he was coming back down towards us, and he goes, "Run, he's got a gun." And our heart started to pound, and I said, "Oh, Mum, where's Mum?" And poor Mum was stuck up there, but apparently our brave Mum, she goes, "Are you all right?"
Because he had all blood
all over his face. And he goes, "I'll shoot you." She goes, "Hey, I'm here to help."
And Mum distracted him to make him look the other way, and he looked the other way, and Mum ran
into the bush behind the fence. And the guy goes to her, "I'll find you and I'll shoot you." All I was thinking about when we were running, I hope he doesn't fire. Yeah, we were so blessed.
How close to him do you think you were?
Well, see, he was up there, and we were past our
when you
driveway.
Yeah.
You don't think of all of that at the time. No,
you just run for your
safety.
That was pretty wild. It's almost like a skit. And I saw another interview today. We'll have to play it tomorrow. It's funny stuff, man. These two girls are totally in sync, and apparently they have been their whole lives. Aren't married. They said, "No, we don't need men. They're too much trouble." And obviously, they're very, very close. So that was kind of funny. I actually enjoyed that quite a bit, especially being a twin myself. And there has been times Jim and I have answered at the same time with the same word, etc., but nothing like that. That was amazing. Just amazing. So fantastic stuff worldwide. I guess that's Australia. We're going to step back now to the U.S. There's a big event tomorrow. Steve Stearns is putting this on. There's going to be a number of speakers, including myself, tomorrow afternoon. Begins at 2:00 Eastern. And I'll be speaking around 3:30, I guess, maybe giving about 10 or 15 minutes to share. And the topic is about Tina Peters. The topic is about freeing Tina Peters from this incredible incarceration that she's part of right now. And real hope that people will write and contact the governor of Colorado, Governor Polis, to make sure that he hears and knows that people are not happy with this. Tina Peters should not be in prison. This is a sham, and it's an effort to get him to let her go. So we're praying, and there's a number of people that have offered a couple-minute video that'll be shared tomorrow too. So I'm going to share a couple of those today, including mine. I think you'll like them. And again, this is in support of Tina Peters. Our first video here is from David Clements, our good friend and attorney here at Untamed Nation. So here's David with his piece on Tina Peters.
Hey everyone, David Clements, election integrity activist, former professor, former prosecutor, and friend of Tina Peters, who is the greatest election integrity activist out there. And we know this because she's still languishing in a prison for doing the right thing, for exposing massive fraud in Mesa County. And so on April 24th, this week, we're celebrating Tina Peters Day by asking for everyone out there to send an email to Governor Jared Polis, or leave a voicemail for him, or write a letter demanding the immediate pardon for Tina Peters. We have just celebrated Easter. And we celebrated the miracle of the resurrection of Jesus Christ, a time period where he was separated from the Father, he was separated from his disciples, he descended into hell only to triumphantly return. And I'm praying for a similar resurrection miracle for Tina, who's been separated from her friends, her family. We're talking about someone who lost her son, who battled against cancer. While lawfare was being deployed against her, she lost her husband. She's literally been through hell. And so we're hoping that we can turn up the noise a bit, be civil, be respectful, but ultimately we want to fill up the email mailbag for Governor Jared Polis. We want to tie up the phone lines demanding for a pardon. And if you want to go ahead and write a letter, please do so. It's very easy. Just do a Google web search for the office of Governor Jared Polis and commit some time on the 24th to get Tina out. God bless. Thank you.
It's great. That was David Clements and his comments. There's many more people that have also offered some comments in support of Tina Peters, trying to get the word out, especially to Governor Polis. You've got to let her out of there. So here is another one. This one's from Clay Parikh. It's a bit different. And so we're going to play that hopefully right now.
Parikh, a cybersecurity expert with over 20 years of experience. I have a 9-year time span where I worked in several of the voting system test labs, where I actually performed security testing on the electronic voting systems. I'm also a retired United States Marine. As a Marine, I repeatedly raised my hand and swore an oath to serve. I promised to defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, both foreign and domestic. This also means defending it against corruption. Tina Peters, as a Mesa County clerk, was doing what many of us hoped that our public servants would do. She listened to the people of her county. She was paying attention, asking tough questions, and refusing to ignore red flags. For that, she's now behind bars. As a county clerk, Tina Peters was supposed to preserve election records. That's exactly what she did. She stopped those records from being destroyed. She stood up for election integrity. Her trial, which was a complete travesty, was an embarrassment to our judicial system. I can only describe it as a Marxist court. I know this because I was there. I witnessed it firsthand. I even provided testimony in the trial. Now she is behind bars, not because she harmed anyone or committed any violence, but because she dared to question those in power. I'm asking you to stand with me for Tina Peters. Visit tinapeters.us to learn her story and share this message. Also, call Governor Jared Polis at 303-866-2471. Tell him that we the people are watching. Remind him that courage like Tina's should be honored and not punished. Tell him to do what's right and to free Tina Peters. Thank you for your time, and God bless.
It is my hope that the most embarrassing chapter in Colorado history will soon be corrected. I'm talking about the conviction of Tina Peters for being vigilant, for following the law, for looking at 52 CFR 20701. That is, protect evidence that was destroyed by other officials in the state of Colorado pertaining to the 2020 election. This is State Senator Mark Fincham from Arizona. I urge you, contact the governor of the state of Colorado and ask him respectfully to please reverse this order Free Tina Peters. She's being punished for doing the right thing. The witch hunt that went after her for preserving evidence, something that even the Secretary of State of Colorado refused to do. It's always better to be a witness, not a suspect. Tina wanted none of that. So now she sits in prison. Governor Jared Polis, now is the time to do the right thing. Pardon Tina Peters and get her out of prison.
That was great. Senator Mark Fincham, a real fan of Tina Peters. He's been great, great in supporting her show while she's been in prison. A great man, a good man. I first met him after the 2020 election. Well, how he stood up was just so admirable. It's really unbelievable, beyond belief. So share one more of these clips. This one's from me. I provided to the Steve Stearns group week or so ago, and this is my thoughts on and my love and admiration for Tina Peters and what must be done by Governor Polis. So take a look. Hey, this is Joe Hoft with the Joe Hoft Show and a good friend of Tina Peters. When I think of Tina, I can't help but think of that scene in the movie Selection Code where she tells a story about how the FBI raided her home and tore her garage apart and emptied this box of her child or son's belongings. I cried when I saw this. Maybe you'll remember this as well.
Sandy, just people doing their job. And when I came back that night, when I came into the garage, I looked and there was a box. It was a box that had the effects of my son's that I had not been able to open since his death in 2017. Laying there on the floor all disheveled. It represented places that I didn't want to go. Things I didn't want to see. That box is something that I don't know if I would have ever opened it. It made me realize that we all have boxes that we need to open. We all have things that we need to face.
It's outrageous what Tina Peters has had to go through. Gold Star mom, beautiful woman, outstanding patriot, doing her job, and she gets thrown in prison. This is outrageous. Governor Polis, you need to get this fixed. You need to stop this. Save this woman. Free her. Free Tina Peters. Free her. Open the door. Let her out. This is outrageous what's going on. This is not America. This is like some fascist communist regime. Set her free and end this madness. There you have it. That's Tina Peters. She's stuck in prison right now in Colorado. It's on state charges, so President Trump can't pardon her. There was a hearing yesterday, by the way, had a piece about this, wrote about it. Some good friends that were on top of it. The DOJ, Department of Justice, filed a notice that they were going to look into this case because they felt like the charges against Tina Peters were just they were not symbolic of the crime that had been committed, if there was one even, and putting her away for 9 years was outrageous. And so a hearing was on that yesterday in Colorado, and the DOJ is able to continue to move forward with their case. So next week, I believe, I'm not sure what day, there will be some sort of more evidence that's going to be filed in that case and maybe shared as well to the public. So God bless Tina Peters. We're all fighting for tomorrow. There'll be a big event. I'll share more on that tomorrow. And it will be aired through Steve Stearns and his efforts to to help Tina Peters. A number of people be speaking, including myself. Honored to be part of that, and that will be something really important. So, changing the subject just slightly, I put a piece up this morning. It's about Seth Rich and how I've written about Seth Rich a number of times. This is the young man who was murdered in D.C. in 2016. Shortly after that came the Russia collusion lie. There was rumors that Seth Rich was the one who had eventually was behind the transfer of documents to WikiLeaks. They blamed it on Russia. They brought in CrowdStrike. It was all a lie. And anyways, here is a piece that I put up. And here, Mike Benz was on it. And I didn't know this. He says not only, in my opinion, not only is Seth Rich behind the Russia collusion lie, but Seth Rich is also behind what started the creation of the CISA, that corrupt organization under Homeland Security that's basically there to censor us, and they do other various nefarious things. So anyways, here is Ben's talking about Seth Rich and the CISA, something I didn't know. Take a look.
The Democrats don't want to go to something very simple as paper ballot.
Well, there's a lot of angles to this. Almost all of them are somewhere between disturbing and extremely disturbing. I focus really on the censorship side of it and on the foreign policy side of it, because everyone knew these could be hacked.
Yeah.
The Democrats were saying that, maybe Trump had won because of vulnerabilities in the voting machines, and there was this whole kill chain documentary that was done, and it was about fears that Trump would win the 2018 midterms because of how insecure the voting machines were. And then we never really saw this campaign to protect the voting machines until the mass mail-in ballot issue in March 2020, when COVID hit and the CDC said we should, vote by mass mail-in ballots and be tabulated at the end. And so the parts of it that have terrified me have been this rogue network at DHS out of CISA, the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, which is just a censorship cell. It was set up to stop Russian hacking because of basically everyone thought there were a lot of questions about the murder of Seth Rich.
Oh, man.
That thing sort of died down when the FBI said, actually, we delegated to CrowdStrike, third-party investigation. Of course, that's basically just a DNA.
Yeah, there it is, Seth Rich. I didn't have any idea that the CISA was really formed as a result of Seth Rich's murder, and the blaming of the 2020 election, 2016 election. And these emails going to WikiLeaks on Russia. So stuff that we haven't had the answers to now in 8 years. I guess they just want to keep burying that too. We're going to keep getting this stuff buried. And that's unfortunate. Here's another clip. We'll play a little bit of this. I want to warn you on language, but it's Mike Benz talking about the CISA and how it was just really what it is it's a big censorship organization within the federal government. And so they justify it by calling it something else, but that's all its purpose was. It was to censor American free speech. And I can speak for myself that I was one of those that was targeted absolutely by this rogue and disgusting organization. Anyways, we'll play pieces of this of Mike Benz talking about the CISA. It's pretty good. I didn't know this stuff either, so take a look.
There you go. Disinformation kill chain. So you see how it is right here? This is in DHS in 2019. They have to astroturf their fake fucking field because this is the cybersecurity unit at DHS. So they have to contextualize their censorship operations as being cyber related somehow. So instead of just calling it First Amendment violating government censorship, they say, no, it's just borrowing from the cyber kill chain model, which just serves as an inspiration for this framework. So it's cybersecurity. It's not First Amendment violating social media censorship. No, it's just cybersecurity because your tweets have misinformation. Does this look familiar? They take the whole thing, they just grafted it. They took the whole fucking thing.
Yeah, we'll cut it there. Mike goes off on these guys, and he knows better than anybody. So Why don't we take a quick break? We'll be back here in a moment. We've got lots to cover today. Hopefully, we will have more. Maybe if we have time, we'll share more on Mike Benz there. He's amazing. Anyways, we'll be right back here on the Joe Hoft Show.
In every thread, in every stitch, Honor-Bound USA weaves the fabric of the American spirit. It's not just apparel, it's a testament to God, family, and country. At Honor-Bound USA, we're a family of patriots who put our faith, family, and America first. When you visit our website, you'll find a line of products that embody our commitment to pray, stand, speak, and act. As the official site for the Untamed podcast, all of our products proclaim speaking the truth with courage. We also have the powerful documentary from Professor David Clements, Let My People Go. Identify yourself as one of the few who are willing to stand for what they believe in. Join the Honor-Bound USA family today. Wear it as a badge of honor, commitment to the values that shape us, and a pledge to the bright future we will build together. Because when you're honor-bound, you're not just wearing a brand, you're embodying a lifestyle.
Hi, I'm Joe, Supreme Leader of DCF. What is DCF, you ask? We're the best damn sandwich shop in the universe. Do we sell hoagies? Well, we're DCF, and the F doesn't stand for hoagies. We got 9mm sandwiches, we got beastly baguettes, and we toast buns like no other. Looking for training on bun safety? We got you covered, and our ranges are the best place to test out your new Not sandwich. So get your buns out, because the sun's out, and let's party! We're not actually a sandwich shop.
$10 billion are stolen every year from Americans by online scammers. Every day, millions of people fall victim to online threats. Over 30 million spam calls are made per day in America, with over 50% of daily emails being considered spam. And that's not all. On average, over 40% of devices are vulnerable to hackers, and each person in America has 10 passwords stolen per year. Can you imagine having unrecoverable credit card debt? Your savings drained to zero, your home foreclosed on, your identity stolen and ruined, your entire life, poof, gone. Introducing Safe and Secure. With the advanced programs, you'll be able to stay in control and keep hackers out. Don't let the cyber criminals win. Safe and Secure. Shield against hackers and embrace peace of mind. Visit PadoxaSNS.com for more information and to learn how to keep yourself protected.
Hey, welcome back to the Joe Hoft Show. Thanks so much for being here. We've got a good friend of mine who's going to join us. We're working on a number of things together. One is a big event coming up this summer in Las Vegas that we hope to put together. So we'll probably be talking about that, but he's got quite a story himself. I'd say he's a relatively young man, I guess, compared to me or anybody else my age. He's a young man. He's done great work. He's involved, I believe, in the Russia collusion sham himself. He was brought in for questioning and did absolutely nothing wrong. And has since really started doing a lot of great work recently, and maybe for some time as well, related to his most recent work was related to the assassination attempt, the latest one against Trump, where there's this young guy, and Jason was able to tie him back to the Ukraine and figure out who this guy even was, which was breaking news at Gateway Pundit a couple of days ago. But we'll get into that in a moment. But without really any further ado, let me introduce you to Jason Sullivan. Jason, welcome to the Joe Hoft Show.
Again, Joe, thank you for having me back on.
Yeah, glad you're here, man. Glad you're here. You look great. So, yeah, we've had you on before, but maybe before we kind of get into some of these more recent stories and stuff, why don't you tell us a little bit about your history? And I brought up Russia collusion. I think you've got a story behind that as well. So maybe I'll just turn it over to you right now.
Yeah, I appreciate that. My story goes back to 2014 when I first cut my teeth in political campaigns, helping a gentleman named Mike McFadden run against Senator Al Franken in 2014 in Minnesota. So that's how I cut my teeth. Helped expose Senator Al Franken for the kind of guy that he is, and he's longer in politics. But and then later on, I ended up getting involved behind the scenes in support of the President Trump's candidate Trump's campaign in 2016. And I had some involvement for 3 months with Roger Stone as a social media intelligence type guy, pulling up real-time intel on what's trending, who's responsible for making it trend, good, bad, or ugly, friend or foe, and start to identify the fights that we need to be in right now that are the most important, and the people and the types of information that we should be amplifying and at the right moments to optimize our effect. So all that ended up getting me dragged into the Robert Mueller investigation. Subsequent to that, to President Trump winning and taking office, of course, they wanted to amp up their Russia narrative. And I got caught into that. So I got the full treatment. I was interrogated by the Robert Mueller investigation. They were asking me all sorts of things about Russia and WikiLeaks and Julian Assange and things of that nature, of course. And it became evidently clear to me while I was in the hot seat, being peppered with, questions left and right, asked, same questions asked in multiple different ways, trying to trip you up. It became very clear that it was a perjury trap very fast. And so having to have gone through all of that, and my family having to have gone through all of that, with FBI agents showing up at my mother's home pre-dawn, showing up at my home later in San Diego at the time, shortly thereafter, knocking on my first door where I lived when I first moved there. So I've got my mother contacting me saying there's FBI agents that are here just now looking for you. We're not quite clear of if they are FBI agents because they really didn't make it clear their identification. And then I realized 4 hours later they're knocking on my door, the first place I moved to in San Diego, and my landlord's calling me saying the FBI was just here looking for you, and again didn't show their identification properly. So now I'm wondering, who are these people, and are they FBI? Okay. And who are these men that were just at my mother's home, right? With my family and my nieces and nephews.
Jason,
yes.
Let me interrupt real quick. First of all, what do you think of Roger Stone?
Roger's great. He's been in the good fight for a long time. And the bottom line is I had the privilege of working with him for about 3 months. And I got pulled into this investigation, with Robert Mueller. And of course, they're trying to turn everybody against each other. That's what they're trying to do. Okay. They're trying to disrupt. And the bottom line is I gave them evidence that Roger was not colluding with any Russians or with Julian Assange for that matter. And, every network wanted to talk to me at the time. I chose not to talk to all the networks at the time. And I chose to actually retreat and go back behind the scenes where I thought I could be more effective. So, listen, they had SWAT show up at the man's house, fully armed. Where is the guy going to go? Okay, they showed up pre-dawn. Yeah. Okay, and then you had I think it was a CNN truck parked on his front lawn. 20 minutes before they actually did the raid. So this whole thing, Russia, has always been a setup. I happen to get a front seat view at it by being involved and by being interrogated, threatened, my safety and security threatened, my freedom threatened, my ability to take care of my family and my daughter threatened, threatened to be put in a prison cell, just like many of these other J6ers, have been were languishing for years for walking in the Capitol. This is serious business. This is not a game. So we're at war. It's a large part of this is an information war, of course. And we've all got to pull together to make sure that we're fighting the right people here. The bottom line is the people that are coming after our president are the same people that started the Russia collusion business in the first place. And it was started in order to frame our president for colluding with Russians so that they can impeach him and get him out of the way and get back to their game, which is their proxy war. And that proxy war happens to be in Ukraine, and it's currently still going on. So the bottom line is, in 2014, there was a coup that was executed by the Obama administration with Victoria Nuland heading up the State Department and other people that were involved, including John McCain, who went to Ukraine, spoke in front of hundreds of thousands of people, encouraging them to overthrow their own government. Our government was deeply involved as the architects for executing a coup in Ukraine in 2014 to get rid of a duly elected president, Viktor Yanukovych. Viktor Yanukovych wanted to remain neutral. He wanted to remain neutral between the United States and the EU and Russia. He didn't want to be caught in the middle of that tug of war. The Obama administration told him, you've got to be on our side. You got to be pro-EU. You got to be pro-US. Okay. And if you're not with us, you're against us. And if you're not with us, we're going to come after you and we're going to get rid of you. And that's exactly what they did. So the Obama administration, Obama-Biden administration, Clinton was Secretary of State for a period of time. Victoria Nuland and the State Department executed the coup, got rid of I just said his name, Yanukovych, the president Yanukovych, right? Got rid of him, installed a new puppet, another oligarch. They love their oligarchs. The oligarchs are the money part of the money gravy train, okay? And oligarchs own media, they own banks, they own oil, they own gas, all the things that the deep state and crooked politicians love to deal in. So that's why we have so many oligarchs over in Ukraine. It's one of the most corrupt places in the world, has been for a very long time. So they install Petro Poroshenko, the new puppet president of Ukraine, that would be a pro-EU and pro-US. So he would not be neutral, okay? And that also means that he would be pro-proxy war. So shortly thereafter, proxy war begins, okay? And you've got an oligarch, a central figure in this whole thing, Ihor Kolomoisky. Ihor Kolomoisky is one of the most dangerous oligarchs out there. Right now, he's actually in prison because Zelensky put him there. Zelensky put him there because Zelensky ended up getting under the control of the Biden administration, and Ihor Kolomoisky became a thorn in their side. So at first, though, Ihor Kolomoisky was a cutout that was used to fund the Azov Battalion, which is a Nazi militia group, paramilitaries, to go and fight and subdue the quote-unquote Russian separatists. Russian separatists were nothing more than people that were typically living in the eastern part of Ukraine that have been Russian for their entire lives and for multiple generations. These Russian separatists saw the writing on the wall. They saw that this was a coup that was being executed by the Obama administration, and they didn't want to have anything to do with it. That's it. They even had a referendum where they voted to be neutral. Obama-Biden administration said, you can't be neutral. If you're not with us, you're against us. And if you're not with us, we'll come after you. And that's exactly what happened when Ihor Kolomoisky funded the Azov Battalion, and they went to go and kill these Russian separatists. That's when these Russian separatists that are simply Russians that were in eastern parts of Ukraine, like Donbass and Crimea, asked for help. And of course, Putin said, yes, I'll help you. But in addition to that, Putin has had a priceless military naval base located in Crimea, which most people aren't even talking about. He's had a lease there. Russia has had a lease with Crimea for probably their most important naval base located in Crimea for 100 years. They were never going to let that naval base go because that is the protection to their back door into Russia. It's kind of like their last fig leaf of protection. Okay, they're never going to let it go. They had a 100-year lease. So, when there's a coup that takes place in Ukraine under the Obama-Biden administration, and they start sending Azov Battalion to places like Donbass and Azov and the Sea of Azov and Crimea, of course, he's going to protect his assets. And that's exactly what happened. So the media spins it to say that Russia's annexing Crimea. There's a coup by the Obama administration, which prompted it. It was not non-provoked, like the media would have everybody believe. And Russia went to go move to protect their priceless naval base, which they will never let go. That is why President Trump is in a position here to where he's going to have to make it to where Ukraine is going to give up certain parts of Russia, especially the places that they lost during this war, Crimea being primarily one of them. So that is the crux of this whole situation. That is where Russia came from in the first place. They put on the coup so they could set the stage for a proxy war, which is never-ending war, which is never-ending money laundering schemes, okay? Then in comes President Trump. Inadvertently wins the election in 2016, right? The greatest political upset of all, modern day history. President Trump wins. Throws their plans for a proxy war into free fall. So now they have to deal with this. First off, they realized that he's going to end up winning the nomination because he was beating up badly on low energy Jeb, if you remember. That's when the Russian collusion fake dossier was starting to be created. It wasn't actually created by Hillary Clinton. It was created by rhinos. Okay, there was a wealthy conservative who actually paid for that dossier. And then it turns out that John McCain actually handed over that dossier personally to James Comey. So if everybody wants to wonder why President Trump had such disdain for John McCain, it's because he's the one that handed over that fake dossier in the first place. When he beat low energy Jeb and became, and Ted Cruz and everybody else, and became the nominee, then they handed that dossier over to the Clinton campaign, and then they picked up on it and continued to develop it with the people, the usual suspects that were involved, like Fusion, GPS, and others, Christopher Steele. So the bottom line is they had to try to use that fake dossier to frame him for colluding with Russians so that they can win the election. Then they lost the election. Now what do? Now they're in big trouble. They've lost their never-ending war. They lost their proxy war. The stage was set for that. Now he's interrupted that. So what do now? They amp up the Russia narrative, and they start with the Robert Mueller special counsel. And they blame him for colluding with Russians. They blame everybody near him in his sphere of influence of colluding with Russians. And that was intended to impeach him, to get him out of the way so they can get back to their proxy war. All of those attempts failed. And then, lo and behold, they had to resort to stealing the election. They stole the election from him. We have evidence of that. The Gateway Pundit has clear evidence of that. There's the Gateway Pundit broke the story on arguably the largest fraudulent voter registration organization in the country that was operating in, I think, at least probably 27 states. It was called GBI Strategies. They got caught in Muskegon, Michigan. Gateway Pundit has done a tremendous work on exposing that story. Apparently, Dan Bongino is now fully aware of this case, and hopefully that will be reopened because the FBI has been sitting on that case for over 4 years, and it's been going nowhere. And they've been refusing to respond to Freedom of Information Act requests because it's an ongoing investigation. That is a loophole. That's why they keep it as an ongoing investigation. Hopefully, Dan Bongino will open that back up and Kash Patel will open that back up so the proof can actually come out that the election was stolen. So the bottom line is they stole the election, and then they set up an entrapment on January 6th. They opened the doors. They allowed the people to come in. They had instigators that were there rolling up the fences, getting rid of all the signs that says you can't come here prior to the President Trump supporters even coming to the Capitol because they were watching him speak. So people were removing and carefully rolling up the fences and getting rid of the bicycle racks in many of the places an hour before he even finished speaking. After he finished speaking, they came down to the Capitol, and there was no fences there. There were no signage. So, of course, they just walked right up to the Capitol. That's the trap. Now they have breached the grounds of the Capitol, and people have been sitting in prison for years for not even stepping foot inside the actual Capitol, but just coming into that perimeter where the fencing was removed. This whole thing was a setup. So the January 6th now was set up so that they can put the nail in the coffin with Trump. They stole the election first. Now let's accuse him for colluding with Russians to overthrow his own government. And we actually have evidence that we found, video evidence of another Russian I mean, I'm sorry. Well, he actually is Russian, but he's from Ukraine. Many people in Ukraine are Russian, obviously. But we have Sergio Dabanian. That came out. He took a selfie with what's his name with the horns, right? But the bottom line is we have video of him. Sergio Dabanian is a military member of the Ukrainian army, and he is a videographer. And we have video. I personally found the video of him going into our U.S. Capitol with his camera, shooting the narrative that he wanted to spin. That information and that footage was shot back to oligarchs in Ukraine that own all the television networks, and it was broadcast on the largest television network, 1+1, owned by Ihor Kolomoisky, that Russians were heard speaking on January 6th saying, go faster, faster, braver, braver, right? Well, Sergio Dabanian speaks Russian, and he had a camera in front of him. And so that's the narrative that was being spun on January 6th live in Ukraine, okay, on January 6th. Also, how many more connections do we need here? What about the John Sullivan? I hate the fact that he has my last name. We're going to revoke that card from him. But John Sullivan, everybody remembers him. He was an Antifa guy, BLM guy, dressed up as MAGA with the hat. We exposed that as well. He caught the video of the murder. He happened to be in the perfect place to capture the murder of Ashley Babbitt. He caught that on video. He belabored on whether or not he was going to release that video to the news outlets. I think it was for a couple of days. However, we also found out that that same exact footage was seen on a Ukrainian network Telegram channel on January 6th. So the very first place that that video was ever seen was broadcast in Ukraine. And they got it somehow before the United States TV networks. So somehow, how did John Sullivan get a connection to a Ukrainian television network? Okay, now we have a third attempt here, third assassination plot attempt on our president by this Nikita Kasab, 17-year-old boy, very deranged, gets caught up in these Nazi online chat groups on Telegram and others and TikTok and whatnot. Real Nazi.
Where's Nikita located?
Well, it was in Wisconsin, and he murdered his parents as part of this plot. He murdered his mother, his own mother, and his stepfather. He stole $14,000 from them, and he used it to plan his escape route to escape to Ukraine. Okay? He planned to escape to Ukraine, and he was using the money to purchase a weaponized drone system to drop a bomb on President Trump and hopefully the vice president. It was going to be a weapon of mass destruction with a bomb that would drop from a militarized drone that he was going to purchase for about $1,500. He was going to drop a bomb, and it was going to have pebbles in it and needles and everything else to affect as much damage as it possibly could. So drones have been a significant part of this entire story as well, because they're constantly used every single day over in the Ukrainian war, and they're kamikaze drones. They fly right into people. They kill people every single day. They have kamikaze drones that fly into tanks, take out entire tanks. They have car-sized drones that fly in the sides of high-rise buildings that can take out entire floors. So these are legitimate threats. And in this affidavit, it's an FBI affidavit. We have the evidence. It's in the story. If you go to the Gateway Pundit, if you look up my name, Jason Sullivan, you'll see our latest story on this about the third attempt assassination plot on President Trump. Turns out he was communicating in these chat groups. There it is. He was communicating in these chat groups with several individuals. Two of them, at least, have direct connections back to Ukraine. How do we know this? Well, look at the affidavit. Look at the FBI affidavit. Sometimes in these affidavits and 302s, they make mistakes. Sometimes they fail to black out something, right? Sometimes they fail to black out a name or a lead that could lead you back to an identification. That might be the case here. They failed to block out a phone number. So Nikita Kasab was communicating with a Telegram account that was connected to a Ukrainian phone number. I'll repeat that. Nikita Kasab, who was planning to assassinate the President of the United States, was communicating on a Telegram channel with a phone number connected to Ukraine. Okay, so how do we know this? Well, the phone number is available in the affidavit. Everybody can go there and verify this and look at it for yourselves. The country code is 380. That is the country code for Ukraine. The second two numbers are 50, which is a direct indication that it is a cellular phone connected to the Vodafone cellular network, which is the largest cellular network located in Ukraine. Okay, those are our first two clues that it's Ukrainian. Now, there's arguments that they say, well, Russian could purchase a Ukrainian phone, and that's true. But also this name that was used in this Telegram channel, which is right there in front of everybody. I don't know how to pronounce that. Poma Piktopi. That is spelled in Cyrillic. You were just on it. So if you scroll right back up, everybody can see it. It's the large font. There it is. There's the phone number. This was taken directly out of the affidavit. So we didn't pull this, out of the air. This is in an FBI affidavit. That name is spelled in Cyrillic. Cyrillic is Slavic. And Ukrainians have their own version of Cyrillic, and so do Russians. Now, there are phonetics that we've analyzed inside of this spelling of this name, and the I especially is key because Russians don't use that letter in this manner. So we've analyzed this name, and it comes back also as Ukrainian Cyrillic. So there's our third clue that this is attached to somebody that's Ukrainian. When you translate this name, it comes back as Roman Viktorovich, which is located just underneath there. Roman Viktorovich. Now, what we've done is we've been able to go into Telegram, add that phone number, and your entire audience can do the same if it's still there, because this story broke on Monday. We've been talking about it since Monday. And this has now been public information. This information was public previous to us doing the story, but we don't know hardly anybody that was actually reading it. It wasn't very easy to find. It still wasn't even indexed in Pacer, but we were able to find it. So the bottom line is we took this number, and your audience could do the same. And we did this. I did this with Jim Hoft. I did this with Joe Altman the other day. And had his audience do the same. So you can go, if you have a Telegram account, you can go into your Telegram account and you can go under contacts. Once you go under contacts, you can add a contact. So add the phone number to your contacts. You'll have to put in a name. You can put in the name Roman Viktorovich if you like, or you can put in a test, or you can put in something else. It doesn't matter. But you have to enter some type of name in order to save the contact. Once you save that phone number and a name into your contacts, and that's all the information I'm giving you, it will automatically start to populate additional information that is within the Telegram profile of this individual. So we think that this individual, intentionally or unintentionally, failed to omit his personal private information in the security settings in Telegram. And so, again, intentionally or unintentionally or inadvertently failed to opt out of sharing his personal information in his profile. This phone number is connected to the account. When you enter it, it will automatically start to populate the additional information that is in there, which includes the name, which also verifies that it is attached to this number and that it is Ukrainian. And it also shows his birth date. Okay, so we have unmasked, essentially. We haven't doxed anybody here. This information was available to the public in an FBI affidavit. Problem is, nobody could find it. But we found it, we analyzed it, we reversed it, and now we've identified the actual Telegram account and the current active handle that is attached to that Telegram account, the phone number verifiable, and the name being to a Roman Viktorovich. That information has been passed along to our POTUS a few days ago, prior to us doing the story on the Gateway Pundit on Monday for security reasons. So we hope and pray that we have individuals in the intelligence community that are acting upon this information immediately. It's very important, obviously. This is the third assassination attempt plot here that has been foiled, thank goodness. But in this affidavit, this character, Nikita, this young man, this deranged young man, Nikita Kasap, speaking to Roman Viktorovich, says, "What about the other 10 Are they like me? Do they think the same way I do, or are they different? He asked him. What other 10? Are there 10 others that this Roman Viktorovich has also been recruiting along with people like Nikita Kasep? We don't know. Okay, but there could be. And you can bet your bottom dollar is that Nikita Kasep is not the only radicalized, unstable individual that is being recruited for terrorist acts by various terrorist recruitment organizations. So this phone number and this individual that it is attached to, whether or not it is indeed Roman Viktorovich or somebody else, needs to be fully investigated yesteryear. And they need to be asking this person and investigating them and interrogating them and questioning them about his conversations and his communications that are available to us through this forensic investigation of Nikita Kasep's cellular phone, which the FBI is holding in Wisconsin, in the Wisconsin Department Division. So hopefully Kash Patel is hearing this, and he will go and send somebody, if not go there personally, to the Wisconsin FBI and review this forensic investigation inspection of this Nikita Kasep cellular phone and all of the communications of the people and the handles and the phone numbers that he was communicating with, especially the one that goes back to Ukraine. Now, the second assassination attempt, this was the third assassination attempt plot. The second assassination attempt was by Ryan Wesley Roth, if everybody remembers him. The blonde guy that was based out of, I think, South Carolina or North Carolina, but he was living in a room in a house in Hawaii. He was a failed home builder. He was trying to build homes, small homes for homeless people. He has a rap sheet a mile long of small crimes, drugs, weapons, things of that nature. Very unstable individual, obviously. But Ryan Wesley Roth, who showed up at the Trump golf course in West Palm Beach, this one, first off, how did he know that President Trump was going to play golf that day? How did he know? My understanding is that the president's decision to play golf that day was actually a last-minute decision. I could be wrong, but that's what I've heard. So how did Ryan Wesley Roth get information that President Trump was going to be playing golf that day and that he was going to be on hole 5? Okay. There's Ryan Wesley Roth on your screen in Ukraine. Please, world, help us fight and kill Russia. That was their plan. He wanted to eliminate Russia, wipe them off the map. That's part of their plans, and that was part of some of his rhetoric. Wipe them off the map completely. He was over there in Ukraine. Somehow, Ryan Wesley Roth, an indigent person with no income, somehow has the money to trot the globe and go back and forth from the United States to Ukraine. And we don't know how many times he actually traveled to Ukraine, but we have him documented, and we have video evidence of him in places like Poland and Ukraine. And he's over there in Ukraine recruiting militias to fight in the war against Russia. So how does this guy that is indigent, I would bet that his education level wasn't the highest, it's highly unstable. How did he get over to Ukraine to recruit militias? And who was he working with in Ukraine to recruit militias? Then on top of that, we find out that there's a video that surfaces of Ryan Wesley Roth, and the internet starts to say that it's a BlackRock video, which was misinformation. The Thomas Matthew Crooks was seen in a BlackRock video. That's the first assassination attempt. But Ryan Wesley Roth was also seen in a video. It was not a BlackRock video. I investigated it. It was a video that was produced by the production arm of the Azov Battalion. The Azov Battalion is the neo-Nazi paramilitary group that has been fighting at the tip of the spear in the war against Russia, that has been fighting ever since 2014, immediately after the coup that was executed in Ukraine by the Obama, Biden, Clinton, Victoria Nuland administration. So this is the same group. This gentleman on the screen there, can't even pronounce his name. He's the actual producer of the video, or at least he manages the accounts where the video was first published, which was published on their Twitter account, which is a production arm of the Azov Battalion. We have all of his contact information, social media contact information as well. And anybody can go there and investigate it and look and see that he's actually also affiliated with the Azov Battalion. So we had Ryan Wesley Roth, an indigent person with a rap sheet a mile long, highly unstable, traveling over to Ukraine, recruiting militias to fight in the war against Russia, somehow gets these connections, somehow gets the funding and the wherewithal to make these types of trips. He's in Ukraine saying they have to wipe Russia off the map. And he's embedded, apparently, with the production arm of the Azov Battalion because he's seen in this video. And it's not an accident. It's not like he's some extra in the background, way off in the distance. They stopped on him. They honed in on him. They slow motioned on him. They paused on him. Okay. They knew who he was. There was no accident they put him in the film. It's a propaganda film. Then magically he shows up subsequent to this in West Palm Beach attempting to assassinate our president. Ukrainian connection, number 2. Thomas Matthew Crooks, who actually opened fire on our president, was communicating on encrypted networks through servers located overseas. The FBI has admitted to this. However, the FBI has not disclosed which platforms Thomas Matthew Crooks was communicating on or which servers that he was communicating through. So who was he communicating with? Was he also communicating with people potentially in Ukraine? We don't know. Maybe this is something that Kash Patel can find out, or that Pam Bondi can find out, or that Dan Bongino can find out. But we do now know in a third assassination attempt against President Trump, we have a young deranged man named Nikita Kasap that was online communicating in Nazi chat groups with at least 2 people connected to Ukraine, one of them verifiable by the phone number, the country code, the Vodafone code, the name, the phonetics, the spelling, the Cyrillic. Okay. It needs to be investigated yesteryear. And again, he's referring to 10 other people. So are there 10 others that are also making plans at this moment? Oh, also, here's one more. And I can't think of his name, and maybe you can help me with it. The Tesla bomber that rented a Tesla and drove it to the Trump Tower in Las Vegas. What was his name again? Can anybody pull that?
I can't remember. Yeah. Maybe Apollo can. I'm not sure.
Maybe Apollo can pull that up while we're talking. But there was a Tesla bomber.
Right.
To Las Vegas. Detonated his Tesla. Committed suicide at the front entrance. I found a video, an image of him, and this was disclosed in the Gateway Pundit. Jim Hoft did a story on it, and he credited me for exposing this particular piece of information. But I found an image of him with his girlfriend or fiance wearing a T-shirt with a Ukrainian emblem on it. We analyzed the emblem, we translated it, and it said "Glory to Ukraine" on his T-shirt. How many connections and coincidences do we need for for some type of conspiracy to be a reality here? I'm telling you right now that the crux of this entire thing was all about the never-ending war, which resulted in hundreds of billions of dollars being sent over to Ukraine to fight against Russia during the during the Biden administration. And President Trump said he was going to stop the war on day one. These people don't want the war to stop. And when they realized that he was going to win the election, that's when they sent I don't know who they is, but the bottom line is people tried to start to kill our president. And that started with Thomas Matthew Crooks, who was communicating in overseas encrypted networks with we don't know who. And then we had the second attempt with Ryan Wesley Roth, who was visiting Ukraine, recruiting militias in Ukraine, saying that we have to wipe Russia off the map, shows back up to assassinate President Trump in West Palm Beach. Where is he? Have we heard anything from him? Where's this case? Who was he communicating with? He had many phones, they said. Burner phones, of course. Where's the information on Ryan Wesley Roth? And now we have a third attempt here with a direct connection to a Ukrainian cell phone number. Oh, and we also have the Tesla bomber in Las Vegas detonates by suicide at the front entrance wearing a T-shirt that says "Glory to Ukraine." Ladies and gentlemen, open your eyes. This should be all over the national news. This should be the number one top most important story, because apparently there are people that are going to insist on continuing to try to assassinate our president. And a lot of roads keep leading back to people somehow connected to Ukraine. And these are the same people that don't want the war to stop, and they don't want the money laundering schemes to stop.
Yeah. The Russia collusion is went all the way back to Ukraine. Rudy Giuliani, when he goes there, there's connections to Ukraine.
Crucified.
It's just
We're going to ask questions, legitimate questions.
A lot connecting back to Ukraine and what was going on there. We've got George Soros over there. We got a lot of oil and gas. We got Hunter Biden over there. We got our CIA and State Department. We've got Obama taking over the country.
There he is. What was his name? How do you pronounce the last name? Matthew Leibelsberger. Okay. Let's see if you can pull up in that same article. I think it shows him wearing that T-shirt. Yeah, that's the T-shirt, but there should be another one that actually shows him standing next to his fiance with a red circle around his shirt. This may or may not be the right article, but it is in the Gateway Pundit, and you can, I'm sure, pull it up and post that later. But we've got a problem here. We're gonna have a major problem here, and the people that want the endless wars to continue are the ones that are trying to kill our president. And I can't imagine that it's just these little kids working all by themselves. Okay, Thomas Matthew Crooks was 20 years old, young and impressionable. Okay, Nikita Kasep, 17 years old, young and impressionable, murders his own parents. Steals the $14,000 to execute our president, plans to escape to Ukraine, communicating with people in Ukraine. This should be all over the headlines everywhere right now. And they're going to continue. There's the T-shirt. If anybody wants to take snapshots of that image, reverse it. Go to your Google reverse images. Go to your ChatGPTs. To go to your Groks and analyze it. Reverse it. You'll see that it says "Glory to Ukraine."
A lot of questions, Jason. A lot of things unanswered still. A lot of connections as well. It's pretty frightening. Actually, we've had Sheila Matthews on this show from Able Child. She's not sure if you've met Sheila yet or not, but she's been standing up to Big Pharma for some time, and she started looking at these mass murders and then looked at crooks after that assassination attempt at President Trump. There's still reports that aren't released from that assassination. Really, even how did they identify crooks is still not known. We don't even know that. The body was kept on top of that building overnight, and somehow at some point in time it was removed and moved to Allegheny County, which is the county next door, for the autopsy. We don't have a lot of information still, just even finally saying this is how we determined that it was crooks that was on that roof. They keep saying crooks, but we don't even know that. There's so many questions anymore. It's just it's outrageous. You're just unloading some more. It just continues this massive non-answers is what we're getting.
And if the intelligence communities and if the intelligence communities didn't want conspiracies running wild, then one, why did they go on the roof and hose it down about an hour later? Okay.
Yeah.
Two, why did they cremate this individual without warning or getting any congressional approval of this at all? And he's gone. They just find out that he's gone. Why won't they tell us which servers he was communicating with and which encrypted platforms he was communicating?
He's talking on the phone to somebody.
Why won't they?
Who's he talking to on the phone?
Yeah. Why won't they tell us who he was communicating with on his Telegram accounts? In this affidavit, it discloses who he was Nikita was communicating with. But this is an affidavit that has been created under the Trump administration. Big difference. Okay. Yeah. So let's see and let's hope and let's pray, number one, for the safety and security of our president. But let's hope and pray that we have people in our intelligence communities and directors of our intelligence communities that we have to believe in, because our president is the one that appointed them, that they will do the good work that needs to be done here and fully investigate, number one, who is this person? First off, we have a cell phone number here. That means this person or this individual or this phone can be triangulated. And that means it should have already been done. And hopefully it already has been done. But the bottom line is they can triangulate this phone and then go pick this individual up, and they should be interrogating him yesteryear. And they should be finding out everything about all of his communications with this Nikita Kasap and everybody else in his network. So, God bless our president. He's trying to stop a war. People that want the war and the never-ending war and the never-ending money laundering schemes to continue are the ones that are trying to assassinate and kill our president. And they're trying to steal our country back. So we have to get 100% transparent elections so we can hold our country. And if we get 100% transparent elections, we actually will hold our country. I believe that without question, probably for the next 20 years. And we'll get
100 years.
And we'll get this horse stagecoach on the right track here. But we've got to hope and pray, and in addition to that, we have to act. We have to be vigilant. If we didn't do investigations like this and expose things like this and unmask things like this, who would ever know about it? And again, our mainstream media is certainly not talking about it. So we're gonna, let's see how much noise we can create here to, apply pressure to the mainstream media to cover this important issue.
Hey, Jason, a couple questions. One is, we've got something scheduled here later this year, this summer, coming up in Vegas. Maybe don't need a lot of details yet, but what can you tell us about it? What's coming up?
Thank you. It's going to be a really incredible Gateway Pundit event in partnership with Unleashed.news, which is the digital news network that I've created that we're starting. We're in partnership with the Gateway Pundit and your brother Jim Hoft. It's going to be at an amazing event, not your ordinary typical speaking event. This is going to be people that are fully involved with the America First agenda, that are helping to execute it and helping to lead our nation back into the right direction. The event is called America First Ground Zero. America First Ground Zero. It'll be held in Las Vegas at the Ahern Hotel, which is an incredible hotel owned by some patriots who have been big time supporters for President Trump. Don Ahern owns the Ahern. He opened up his one of his compounds for President Trump to hold a rally during COVID when nobody else would allow him to hold his rally. And the hotel that he purchased has been now nicknamed the Freedom Hotel. It's a fantastic hotel. Everybody, I encourage you to look it up, the Ahern Hotel. You can go call them right now, start getting booked for this event. It's going to be incredible. August 9th and 10th are the dates of the event. The main event is on the 9th, which is a Saturday. And then there's a workshop for people that are really serious about rolling up their sleeves that'll take place on the 10th on a Sunday. That'll be a smaller group of VIPs that will be working with us to create new solutions that can actually be presented in front of the Trump administration. Some solutions that qualify may actually get right in front of the president himself. Peter Tickton is a part of this, who has been a longtime friend of President Trump since age 15. They were roommates in military high school together. He's one of the inner circle Trump attorneys. You're involved in this, Joe. Thank you for being involved. Your brother, Jim Hoft, is involved with this. Everybody knows Lara Logan. We all love Lara. She's involved with this. She'll be our MC. Yours truly will be your host, and it's going to be an incredible event. So over the next few days, we intend on announcing the website for this event and opening up early bird ticket sales. And then we'll be looking for sponsors that want to take advantage of being in front of probably some of the most involved pro-Trump, pro-America First agenda people that are actually helping to execute it on a day-to-day basis. So there'll be a couple thousand people in person. It's going to be live. It's going to be incredible. And you're going to learn a lot here, and you're going to find ways that you can actually execute on a daily basis and be involved and have the opportunity to have your ideas and put together in policy proposals that can actually be presented directly to the Trump administration. So it's going to be unique.
Wow, fantastic. Finally, how can people reach out to you right now?
Thank you for asking. They can find us at Unleashed.news, and also they can find me at the Gateway Pundit. So if anybody goes to the Gateway Pundit, types in my name, Jason Sullivan, you'll see the articles and investigative reports that I've done so far. It's a great honor to be involved now with the Gateway Pundit as a contributor at large. For several years, I've been a guest contributor, but it's official now. So look out.
Well, great. Hey, great having you on, Jason. Thanks so much for joining us. We could talk for hours. I got a feeling, lots to talk about. Have to have you back soon. Really appreciate it. And we'll talk more about this event coming up in August too, for sure, a few times.
God bless you, Joe, and your brother. Thank you for having me on.
Thank you. Thanks
Talk
for
soon.
being here.
I
Appreciate
encourage
it.
your
Thanks for
audience
your
to investigate this. Don't take my word for it. Find the article, read the affidavits, 26 pages. It's worth the read. It's worth the investment. Enter the phone number in your Telegram accounts. Add a name to it. Like I said, it doesn't have to be Roman's name. You can put in whatever you want, but do it, and you'll see that there's additional information, personal identifiable information that connects and verifies that phone number is Ukrainian. Thank you.
Great. Thanks so much, Jason. Take great care. We'll catch up with you soon. Thanks so much. And thank you all for being here today. What an incredible storyline there that Jason laid down. That's just amazing stuff. Pretty almost overwhelming now. We have got a lot of work to do, folks, and we're going to do it. And we're going to keep you informed as best we can. Thanks so much for being here. We'll see you again tomorrow here on the Joe Hoft Show.